So to take my cyclist into camera raw, what I'm going to do, click once to select it, and I double click in order to open it up into camera raw. All right. Now, where I'm at right now, I feel like the crop is actually pretty good already. What I might try is actually just see if I can cut maybe a little bit of the top or the bottom off just to see if it looks any better. Don't want to get them too close to the edge of the frame. I think I can probably trim down that much. Yeah, something like that. Yeah, it's not a huge difference, but it's enough of a difference. Clear that crop just to make sure I like that. Yeah, I kind of like it at full frame. I'll adjust it later when I need to. I'll just work with the fact that the tones may be off a little bit here. So from here, one of the things I can do is I can even look at possibly using the straighten tool, which is right here next to the crop, and then drawing out a line. So I'm clicking and dragging and making one of these lines perfectly flat and square just to make a little more of a dynamic effect for him. So you notice there, now he's kind of going forward. He's the pitch of his body's pulling more momentum into him. That's not a bad change. So let's move on over. Look at the temperature. I'm just going to experiment real quick. Make it a little warmer, make it a little bit colder. Let's see. I think it's good where it started off, but we might need to revisit that after we get done with our changes later. All right, exposure-wise, I've got too much light. The whole image just feels washed out. So instead of actually clicking and dragging, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to click on the name. That way it highlights the numbers over here. When those numbers are highlighted, what you can do is use the arrow keys. And if you go down on the arrows, it allows you to go in increments of 0.05. So you can really refine that color and that tone in there. Remember, this is affecting the whole brightness of the frame, but mainly just the portions on the highlight side. That's a little too deep there. I'm going to move back up. I think 0.4 looks good. I've got enough deepness that I can see the difference in the trees and start to see this other rider that's in here. I'm getting some contrast from his legs into his kit and whatnot, and his bike's starting to get a nice saturation to the color. So I think that's looking okay. I'm just going to skip past contrast. Let's go to highlights. Now the highlights are going to be, like in the streaks here and on his skin tone and a few of these places. So let's watch that as I pull down with it and then up. I just want to see and feel which one's better. Yeah, adding a little bit on the highlights actually helps. I'm not losing color up here, which is needed, but I am pulling some color out to make it change and vary a little bit. Now, shadows, let's do the same thing. Let's see what happens when we lighten it. If we get anything that interests us, nah. If I go darker, well, that's interesting because he starts to pop out, but I may have got too dark there because I still have more of these sliders that I can work from. So I'm just gonna pull this back, and I like it just a little bit darker from this. So maybe right around 10. That's a nice whole number. Moving down, let's look at the whites value. And I'm just gonna push that up all the way just to see what happens, and then pull it all the way down to see what happens. And I'm looking up in the sky, and I'm looking at his face, and just the places where I might let my eye wander to. And with the whites, if I go just a little bit in the plus, maybe 22, 23, 24. Yeah, I think that should be okay. And, that's just a gut feeling there. I just know that I liked it a little bit brighter, and so I just took it to where I feel like it started to get bad. And then once I find bad, I move back to good. All right, then the blacks, I'm going to take this down to really make that shadow heavy and give us a place to rest. Awesome. Now, with that, let's just turn that off and on so we can see starting, ending. Yeah, it's better. He's definitely got a lot more tone and color to him. So let's look at making a little bit of localized contrast. See if we can add or subtract colors, and then if we can reinvigorate them again. So I'm going to take that clarity, and I'm going to go up. Just want to see how high I can take this. Really, this one, because the minor details between where the lines are blurring together and him versus the rest of it, you could take it all the way to 100 and get something interesting out of it. I'm going to say let's pull it back to about 60 or so. Still higher than I usually like to go, but I'm getting a little bit of both worlds. So I'm getting the good contrast in the colors, but I'm also not making him so overly sharp that it seems strange. Vibrance wise, I have so many choices here. I can go up and then pull saturation out if I wish, and just makes this kit bluer. I could go down, really pull up the saturation there and make these interesting broken images. Notice I'm getting a lot of crud in there too, so that's not gonna be where we go. Or I can go kind of in between, just fracture some of that color, and then reinvigorate it so it feels appropriate. It gives me a little more gold in the sky, a little more gray in that blue, but keeps the reds and some of these others, in a good nice spot to go. That looks pretty nice. Okay, there'll be more that we need to do with this one, but for now, I think this is a good place to save and move to our next image.